Good morning and welcome to LVS Perspectives Plus. So this is a new angle on our LVS Perspectives Education Talk discussion series. And this one is to sort of raise awareness. And this is something that, affects all of us and is such an important thing that we should know. And we're really pleased today to welcome Bryan Davies from the UK Sepsis Trust. Thank you so much for coming, Bryan. Bryan's going to present to us today on this really important topic, and he's going to really try and raise awareness with us, because some of us might not have come across this before, and it's something that it's really important because it can save lives. So Bryan's going to give us a presentation, and as normal you can bring in your comments and your chat, any questions through the chat as well for Bryan when he's finished. So Bryan, over to you and welcome.
Thank you, Mrs. Cunniff, for giving me the opportunity to speak to everyone today, and good morning, parents. As Mrs. Cunniff said, I'm Bryan Davies from the UK Sepsis Trust. I'm here to talk to you about sepsis. I actually, from a teaching background, so I worked in education for over 20 years, and I'll talk to you a little bit shortly about why I'm now working for a charity and I've moved out of education. Next slide, please. If we can press play on the video.
My name's Dr. Ron Daniels, and I'm the founder and executive director of the charity, the UK Sepsis Trust, and we're on a mission to reduce avoidable harm from sepsis. I'm also an intensive care doctor, looking after an adult intensive care unit in the West Midlands. So what is sepsis? Well, it's the way the body responds to an infection. So we've all had infections, but in sepsis the body's immune system overreacts, it goes into overdrive, and if we don't stop it, that starts to cause damage to the organs and the tissues, and that can lead to death.
Okay, hopefully the sound came across well for the video and you were able to hear what our CEO and founder, Dr. Ron Daniels, was talking about there. Sepsis doesn't discriminate. It affects everybody regardless of race, age, colour, fitness level, gender. So it's something that everybody needs to be aware of. And hopefully throughout this presentation, we'll look at some of the key messages, some things for you to take away, and then you'll be in a better position that if you or a loved one you suspect has sepsis in the future, you'll know what to do. So next slide, please. And this is why I'm involved with the charity. This is why I've moved out of education. This is my daughter, Aoife. This is her when she was 9 weeks old, suffering from sepsis. It was actually the 8th anniversary of her suffering from sepsis a couple of weeks ago, and I now find myself working for the charity, and I was actually able to share a stage with Dr. Ron Daniels, who you saw previously, because and that means a lot. And the reason that means a lot is that Ron was actually the doctor at our local hospital in Sutton Coldfield who treated Aoife when she had sepsis 8 years or so ago. She had a bit of a cold or a chest infection, or that's at least what we thought. She was our second child, so we were probably a bit more relaxed than we would have been with her older sister. Thought a little bit of cow pollen, some sleep would sort her out, and it didn't. So by the Monday morning, we thought it was best to get checked out at the doctor's. Doctor said, I think she's fine, but go to the hospital and just get checked out there. And within 15 minutes of arriving, Ron and his team were putting Aoife into an induced coma and giving her the antibiotics that she needed to fight the infection, which we now know was sepsis. They spent hours trying to stabilise her before moving her to a specialist paediatric ICU ward. The Children's Hospital in Birmingham was full, so we had to go up to Stoke-on-Trent at the hospital, University Hospital North Staffordshire, where Aoife had a blood transfusion and round-the-clock care for about 4 days. She slowly recovered, and after around a week was discharged and sort of back to normal. A couple of things really stand out for me: how quickly her condition deteriorated and became what we thought was, a cold or flu, into a near-death experience. And secondly, as I mentioned, our local doctor just happened to be the UK's leading expert on sepsis. And although the Trust does a lot of work in educating healthcare professionals, there's not a doctor Ron everywhere. So if we'd have gone to a different hospital, if Ron hadn't have been working that day, we could have ended up with a very different, less positive outcome. As I say, Aoife's absolutely fine now. She's 8 years old. She's sporty, happy little girl, and we're very, very thankful to Dr. Ron and all of the doctors and nurses of that, difficult day that she's still here. Next slide, please. So, to give it some context, sepsis affects around 245,000 people every year in the UK. And this is the staggering figure, that there's 48,000 deaths each year in the UK to sepsis. So that's more than breast cancer, bowel cancer, and prostate cancer combined, and more than road traffic accidents combined with those three versions of cancer. So that is a full Villa Park, our local football stadium. Imagine how many people are in that stadium when it's full. Okay, I'm sure some of you will have been to sports fixtures, and you'll appreciate just how many people that is within a full sports stadium of that size. Well, that many people and some die every year of sepsis. And our job is to try and reduce those figures through better awareness in the general public. And that's why I'm here talking to you today. Next slide, please. So these are some of the symptoms. And this is something that in the future we can get some of these sent out to the school, and these to be distributed to each of you. The school have recently signed up for the sepsis savvy resources for schools that we've developed. So hopefully they're going to be, all the students will be learning a bit about sepsis through the PSHE curriculum in the next few weeks or months, and we'll, as I say, get a card like this sent home to everybody to hopefully sit on your fridge at home and to keep yourself familiar with this information. The big thing is, if you suspect that you or a loved one is suffering from any of these conditions and they aren't their normal self, then our sort of advice would always be just ask, could it be sepsis? So you are better to ask the question of a healthcare professional or a paramedic or an ambulance, than to not want to ask the question and have a difficult outcome. So healthcare professionals like Ron would always say they'd rather see 100 people asking whether it could be sepsis and it isn't than miss the one that it is. So so hopefully some of these cards will be coming out to you so that you can familiarise yourself and keep this card handy should you ever need it. Hopefully none of you ever need it, but so with so many cases throughout the UK each year, unfortunately some of you probably will at some point. Next slide, please. So, as a charity, what do we do? Well, our vision is to end preventable deaths from sepsis. We believe that around 14 to 15,000 of the 48,000 deaths annually could be saved and are preventable. So that is purely down to better awareness within the community. We're doing that through, obviously, delivering talks like this today, by developing campaigns and resources for schools, for businesses, but then we also educate healthcare professionals to encourage early diagnosis, and we provide support to people affected by sepsis, so either the bereaved or those experiencing from post-sepsis syndrome or living with the after effects of their sepsis. So that could be that they have a colostomy bag for the rest of their life or have had an amputation. And we have free support nurses on phone lines and regular groups to meet and talk to those people and help them through their recovery. So yeah, those three main areas. We're also looking to change the way in which sepsis is dealt with on a wider scale with government, with the NHS, politically. So any help there would be much appreciated if you are people that can help or you know people. Next slide, please. And these are just some of the ways in which we have sort of advertised previously. So, as I mentioned, just ask, could it be sepsis? One of our big campaigns here on a bus stop. In the West Midlands, we have a poster on every ambulance. And, sepsis is prevalent in society in the West Midlands because it's seen on a daily basis on the side of ambulances. So it's very much what we're trying to do is just raise that awareness, get the thought process of understanding sepsis, the dangers, the numbers that are affected by it each year, because it is a very real problem that affects a lot of people. So next slide, please. So what can you do to help? Okay. We're going to talk about a few of these points now. So we have a campaign running called Sepsis Savvy that launched at Easter, and it has over 260 organisations signed up. So it's some big household names there that hopefully a lot of you will recognise. And we'd like more businesses to sign up. So this is very much a top-down approach, whereby business decision makers, FDs, CEOs, etc., would heads of HR will commit to training their staff on sepsis. The training involves watching the short video that we're going to watch in a minute, and then playing a short game which takes about 5 minutes just to check their knowledge of sepsis, having watched the video. So it really isn't onerous. It doesn't take a long time. At the same time, for some of these organisations, we've done whole staff training, we've videoed sessions like we're doing here today with LVS Ascot, and that's something that could sit on an internal webinar and staff could watch at a suitable point. So if you are a decision maker within a local business, then please get in touch with me either via email, which is brian.davies@sepsistrust.org, or via Twitter or via LinkedIn. Pretty prevalent on both of those. So if you search Bryan Davies and sepsis, something should come up and you should be able to get in touch. So if we can go to the next slide, please. And here's another video. This is the actor Jason Watkins introducing why organisations should be sepsis savvy. Enjoy.
On the last day of 2010, we put our daughter, Maud, who was 2.5, into her cot to sleep. And in the morning on New Year's Day, 2011, she had died. She never woke. The symptoms seemed harmless. They seemed like any other cold or flu or stomachache. But we now know that something else was going on underneath. If I was aware, I would have asked. There would have definitely been a different outcome. So that's the way that you can look after your children and your families and the people you meet, is to take a deep breath and think, could this be sepsis? I'm going to ask someone, because you could save their life.
Hi, I'm Dr. Ron Daniels. I'm an NHS intensive care consultant and I'm founder and executive director of the charity UK Sepsis Trust. After watching this short video, you should have the knowledge to protect yourself and your loved ones and colleagues. That's what being sepsis savvy is all about, looking out for each other. Sepsis is a medical emergency. Every year across the UK, 245,000 people develop sepsis and as many as 48,000 die. Globally, sepsis claims 11 million lives every year and is the final common pathway to death from most infectious diseases, according to the WHO. Sepsis is when our immune system goes into overdrive trying to fight an infection. So instead of protecting us, the immune system begins to attack our organs and tissues. And if we don't stop it, sepsis can very quickly lead to multi-organ failure and to death. It can be caused by most infections, commonly as a result of pneumonia, a urinary tract infection, a problem in the abdomen, a problem with the skin or soft tissues, or a rarer condition like meningitis. But it can also be caused by common conditions such as flu and by COVID-19. 80% of cases of sepsis arise in the community, and that's why it's critically important that we're all aware of the signs to look out for. Anyone can get sepsis, but certain groups are at high risk. Older people over 65, children, especially those under 1, people with chronic disease like lung disease and diabetes, and people with weakened immune systems such as HIV and AIDS, and people without a spleen. We can avoid sepsis by preventing infections in the first place, so it's important to stay up to date with vaccinations and pay attention to basic personal hygiene. If sepsis does develop, we have to recognise it quickly, and care must be delivered in a hospital. A treatment pathway developed by the UK Sepsis Trust, the Sepsis 6, can save lives if it's delivered quickly. It's important to remember that antibiotics won't help with a viral illness, so they won't help to treat the common cold or mild cases of the flu. But it's also important that we know when someone might need medical attention, and the following signs of sepsis should alert you to seek help urgently. For adults, these signs spell sepsis. S for slurred speech or confusion. E for extreme pain in the muscles or joints. P for passing no urine, no water in a day. S for severe breathlessness. I for it feels like you're going to die, and people really do say this. And then the final S for skin that's mottled or discoloured or very pale. Any one of those 6 symptoms in the context of an infection goes straight to A&E. As you've heard from Jason, sepsis can affect children too. It's important that parents trust their instincts, and if any child under 5 is breathing very fast, has a fit or a convulsion, looks mottled, bluish or pale, has a rash that doesn't fade when you press it, is very lethargic or difficult to wake, or feels abnormally cold to the touch, then take that child straight to A&E or call 999. While you've been watching this video, around the world 70 people have died from sepsis. Sepsis is a medical emergency. The more people who know about sepsis and the signs to look out for, the more lives we can save. Visit sepsistrust.org to find out more about our life-saving work, including how you can join our fight against sepsis and how to access our free support services for those affected by sepsis or COVID-19. And finally, play the Sepsis Savvy game on the link below to test your knowledge and make sure you're equipped to spot the signs of sepsis. Being sepsis savvy, you could be the one who saves someone's life. Together we can beat this. Please pass this on to family and friends, encouraging them to become sepsis savvy too. Thank you.
Okay, next slide, please. And this is one of the companies that has already signed up to be sepsis savvy and have done a fantastic job. So Direct Line Group have supported the charity for a number of years, but one of the big initiatives that they did was to raise awareness of sepsis with their customers and staff. So they did this a couple of years ago, and since that have actually had a customer, Grace, who's pictured there, who's 8, and a member of staff who have had sepsis and spotted what it was early enough and got the care that they need. So this is why staff like me are out talking to people in the community, at schools, at businesses, like this today, to save people's lives, like Grace's, like the member of staff from Direct Line. And this is, the why. This is why it's important. And I say, if any of you are decision makers in local businesses or big businesses and would like some training on sepsis, and get in touch. You can find it out on our website via campaigns. But if you get in touch with me, I can send you all of the details, and then you can educate your staff as well. Okay. Next slide, please. I think this is really important, so it might go on a little bit longer than I was anticipating, but particularly for the sort of parents here with older students and some of the staff as well, advocating for sepsis is a really, really important part. And, that might be as a teacher leading a school trip, it might be as a parent, it might be, when your child is a little bit older and they're at university and they're having to advocate for themselves. But unfortunately, as you heard from Jason's example, healthcare professionals don't always spot that an illness is sepsis. So the ability to challenge them, the ability to get across the message that this isn't how this person is normally behaving or normally responding. Could it be sepsis? Could be the difference between them having a positive outcome and not. So play the video, please.
So Faye, we know, and I am a health professional, we know it can be difficult even for experienced health professionals to spot sepsis, and sometimes they're just not thinking sepsis, and particularly when presented with a youngster, they might not always think sepsis. How do you think the hospital responded in your case?
I mean, in my case, I was extremely lucky. Everybody kind of knew straight away that what I was experiencing was serious. I mean, the walk-in centre basically sent me straight to the hospital because they knew it by taking my temperature that something was massively up. And then when I got to hospital, I was triaged very quickly and then taken down to an actual hospital ward, and they were really quick with all the tests that they'd done and getting me back to health.
That's amazing to hear, because obviously it could have been very different, if they hadn't been so on the ball as they were. And that is the case for people in the NHS on occasion today. Then you might have spent longer in hospital, you might have ended up in intensive care, and your outcome might have been even worse, and it's almost unimaginable. But I think it is really important, isn't it, that people are prepared to be a little bit assertive if health professionals don't seem to be taking them seriously, and again, just ask that question, could it be sepsis?
Definitely. I mean, my nan was very clear in telling the healthcare professionals what I was experiencing, because at the time I was just really shivering and I couldn't really tell them what I was experiencing because all I could think about was the pain and how it was so strange. It was almost like my body was like convulsing and I couldn't control it, and that was all I could think about, and it almost just like completely took over me. So I've got to give a lot of credit to my nan in explaining everything to the doctors that I was experiencing. And then my mum met me at the hospital and she immediately like kind of took over because she knows everything that, she's a nurse herself. So she told them everything that I was experiencing, and it made it a lot quicker, I think, which I've got to thank her for, because I couldn't speak. I was just absolutely overwhelmed by the pain.
Gosh, and as an advocate, and for you it was your mum and your nan, but it could have been you looking after a friend. As an advocate, you've got to remember you actually know this person much better than any doctor or any nurse, and if you've never seen them this unwell before, or if you know that this person normally just soldiers on and gets on with things and they're looking terrible and they can't move this time, then say so. Just be prepared to be a bit assertive sometimes, because health professionals aren't perfect.
Yeah, well, it was my first time going into hospital, so my mum knew that, I usually just battle on with stuff, and she could tell by my body language, everything, that something was up. So, yeah, definitely, she basically knew that something was wrong with me. But even after then, I mean, I've had kidney infections again after then, and sometimes I think the doctors are a bit ignorant in believing your symptoms, and you've kind of got to really put across how you're feeling to get results these days. So yeah, I would say to anybody suffering, just please fully explain your symptoms to people.
Absolutely, and it's almost to get this right every time. It has to be a partnership, doesn't it? We have to have a public who are aware. We have to have that magic person who is advocating for the ill person, and we have to have health professionals who not only are well trained, because of course they are, but also who are thinking sepsis and have the resources to deliver the care they need to.
Brilliant. Next slide, please. So it really is about everyone doing a little bit so that together we can save thousands of lives. Next slide, please. And thank you for the opportunity to Mrs. Cunniff for reaching out and contacting me and asking me to deliver the session this morning. To everybody that's listened, either live or at a later point. And yeah, please feel free to reach out to me, Bryan Davies, on LinkedIn, at Coach Davis 1981 on Twitter, or via brian.davis@sepsistrust.org via email if you'd like further information or you're interested in signing up your business to become sepsis savvy. Thank you. Do we have any questions?
No questions at the moment, Bryan, coming through there. But can I just say a huge thank you? Because I know it's something that we should be asking that question, isn't it? And I think I had a doubt about a family member back in the summer, and when I Googled it, I came across your website, and it is that all important. Could this be sepsis? And I can't say strongly enough, if to any of our parents or our staff here, if there's any doubt whatsoever, ask that question, could there be sepsis? And also, if we've got any parents watching whose children are in year 13 thinking about going away to university, let's to make sure that the vaccinations are all up to date, because I know, especially during COVID, those kind of things might have slipped a bit. You don't think about that next stage when they're going off to uni. So it's about protecting them before they get there.
Yeah, universities is an area we're looking to sort of develop further, and obviously you heard Faye's example there from Freshers Week, where she wasn't sure if she was just enjoying herself a little bit too much, but I think it's really important that schools and parents help students to be ready for that next stage of their life when they become a little bit more independent from their parents, and having an understanding around sepsis through schools is part of what we're trying to achieve. So thank you for the opportunity, and if anyone wants to get in touch and have some training for their own schools or for businesses, then I'd be happy to help.
Certainly be following it up. We've got a number of working parties in the school with parents, one called the Well Group, women and men from all different industries. So I'll raise it with them as well. And and thank you again for your amazing work, and your lovely family as well. You had a happy ending, and that's what counts. So thank you so much, Bryan. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care. Goodbye.
Bye.